This is Paul, and I'm going to show us how to do a state order where we really have 4 basic steps. We download our state order aid developed by OHLQ. We load it into our supercharged order aid designed by yours truly. We then go into the state order system and we place the order, and then we communicate to the state any key items that we don't want them to remove. It's 4 easy steps. This really shouldn't take us more than, say, an hour to perform. I am going to try to truncate as much as I can in the video, but without removing any content, so that you guys can see it from start to finish. Okay, so first and foremost, we want to download the state order aid, and there are 2 ways to do that. You could either go through the manager's page, where you then go to State Quick Links and then the Enterprise Portal, and from the Enterprise Portal go to Retailer and order the review aid, or using the supercharged order aid, just click Order Aid Hyperlink and it'll take you there. We're going to use number 2 because I think that this is going to be the quickest way to do it for everyone. So the the supercharged order aid that I developed is just a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet, every other order you just duplicate. So to give you guys an example, here we have our state orders, and all I do is I go in and I copy from the previous order so that it's a running total of everything that so it's a running of transactions. The reason being is there are notes in the order aid that I want to keep building on and removing as it goes. So really, this is the best way to do it, is just to duplicate as you go. So this is the one we have open today, state order delivery on the 20th, and let's go have a look at it. So here is our supercharged state order aid. It's just a handful of tabs, and starting you off with the summary page. Summary page is showing you right now last week's order. And so this is what happened with last week's order, how many cases we requested, how many cases we originally had, and I want to say we actually had somewhere around 214, I think it was, so substantially less than what they even put on our initial order. Without further ado and delay, let's dive into this system. So first step was to order aid hyperlink. Click on that. So we go to this order aid, and this is the hyperlink for it. We click it, and it's going to take us right to the state order aid, and this is going to take a minute. It's going to load here, the state order aid, and while we're waiting for that to load, I'm going to take you back into the supercharger, and this is what we have. So as we're waiting for that to load, we want to get rid of previous data. We want to get rid of the old information. We already know that the order is coming on the 20th, so we put that date in, and then from there we're going to start prepping the spreadsheet. Since the spreadsheet has previous data on it, we simply remove it. This is our instructional page, which just walks us through what we're doing. As you can see, download the state order aid in format. Copy to the state order is the first thing we're doing, and is honestly the first thing on our list to do right now. Once we clear those checks, then we move over to the order sheet. We're going to do all of our ordering based on the information we gain from this sheet. So first and foremost, since we want to clear it, we want to make sure no filters are in play. No filters are in play. Knowing that, I simply take one line below the first line, because we want to save this data because it has all the formulas we want. If we look up here, we see how it has very specific formulas, and we don't want to mess with those formulas because we want it to populate appropriately. So we take the item, the row directly below one column or one row, so that would be row 3. We take row 3, we go all the way to the bottom of the order sheet, select, this is using shift and selecting just the row, and we delete. Once we have that deleted, we then want the item ID and the item name deleted as well. The item ID is what holds, as you can see, the entire formula. See how everything just caved away after we deleted the item ID? So that's what holds the magic together, is the item ID. The name we also remove. So now we're ready to input data. We go through our list. I already populated this for today. Today is Tuesday the 17th, and I populated some brokerage requests from our dear friend Bradley at Coastal Pacific. He wants to do some, he wants to guard his displays, so he is asking for specific cases of them. This is a one-time deal. And then I have some curiosities because Bulleit Bourbon is out of stock. And it continues to be, so I've added it to the order because I want to keep an eye on it. I'm waiting to see if it actually comes in or not. And same with Bulleit Bourbon. It's shortage and monitoring. This I highlighted for wholesale because wholesale accounts use this liter bottle, and this I highlighted because it's just I want to monitor the shortage on it. So then what we do after we've added our notes from the previous week and reps requests and such, I then have a look at what happened last week. So we had store need replenishment on Bacardi Boys. I think we're actually not quite up to snuff on that, so I want to continue to hold this even though it was a one-time deal. I also am going to insert another row and pretty much copy this exact data again and change it to liters because we're a shortage of that as well, and that's an issue. We look here, guest request. This is on point until it's fulfilled. It's not yet fulfilled, so it's still here. Store customer needs, Patron Reposado. These are items that I want to keep an eye on because they're faster movers in our store. And then these are all wholesale driven items. We have those wholesale items. Moving into VIP, these are very important products. These are products that we want to highlight when they come in because we are interested in knowing their existence. So I have them highlighted here. We're not adding or changing anything today on that. And then this is the state transfer order, and this is actually not the transfer order. This is the previous order aid. We're going to do the same thing with this order aid that we did with our own order sheet tab. We're just going to take one row down, and then we're going to delete all the data. And I'm doing that because generally speaking I want to keep the format, but I can delete all these without any issue. So we've got our template ready for loading. We've got our notes in place, which will populate our order sheet. Our order sheet is ready. Just as a side note, lists and VIP, please note lists and VIP. Right up here, it will highlight when one of the items in our list or one of the items in our VIP is selected. It will give us a green check as such. So now we want to go and check on our state order aid, and as you can see, it's ready to load. We want to download it as the Excel file, so we click that and it starts to download. This also can take a minute. Alright, so we have a download. So we go into here and we want to open it up. I'm going to give it a full expansion. This part is probably the most tedious of the ordering. So I'm going to kind of walk through this at a slightly slower rate. What we want to do is clean it up so that all this data can be formatted into all this data can be formatted into our state TO. Now what it looks relatively the same. When you look at it side by side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But the problem is that when we take a deeper look, we see that these columns are merged columns, and we can't copy these merged columns over. So what we have to do is kind of cut away the excess columns. So let's have a look at our order list and or our instructions and see what they say. So it says download state order aid and format. Make internal modifications to order sheet and state TOs. So these two steps are pretty much what I'm going to show you first. So just to double back into this, modify the state order aid. We want to remove the columns and we want to remove the hyperlinks. So let's start with that. First, we remove the excess columns. Start from the right and go across. The first excess column, and what I mean by that is the first column that seems, see how this is a part of this column? That first column we can always delete. If there's another one, that's an excess column. So H is the main column and I and J can be gotten rid of. Okay? Same with this. So see, E is the main column where it actually says allocate, and then F and G are excess columns. See how it says allocate still? Okay. Same thing with D. This one makes me laugh every time. We see C is actually the main column that holds the words here, active, and D is not. So we delete that and see how we see active. B is clean and A is clean. What we want to do with A is we do want to remove all hyperlinks, so that's a right click and then remove hyperlinks. So all the hyperlinks are removed from these codes. If we didn't do that, you'd click on them and they'd take you straight to the state site regarding that item. And now our template, or our order aid from the state, is ready to be transferred into our supercharged order aid. So we select the bulk of the column from the bottom to the top, including the headers.